It's the rundown to Christmas. We're all getting very excited, I know I am, but tis not the best season to be gluten-free. The shops are now full of chocolates, biscuits, cakes, advent calendars, all sorts of amazing treats for the festive season. But for us celiacs, we need to be a little bit more vigilant, a little bit more careful about what we're putting in our mouths, food-wise. Let's just say gluten can lurk in the weirdest places. And trust me, I have found gluten in some strange food products. Cheese was one of them. Food is not the only issue this time of year. Slip-ups and cross-contamination can easily happen, especially when you go into parties, gatherings, you're having a big family Christmas gathering on Christmas Day, and you're not the one cooking Christmas dinner. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the food products you need to look out for this year. And at the end of the video, I will also go through some cross-contamination tips with you as well, so that you don't end up spending the whole holiday on the toilet. Or maybe you will, but for different reasons. I'm not here to judge. Okay, so I thought the easiest way to break up this video is to do it like we're going through the supermarket aisles. So the first section we have is the chilled section. Christmas party food. So that's things like mozzarella sticks, chicken skewers, spring rolls, samosas, pies, quiches, you know, all those little mini party food style things. Sadly, most of these are not gluten-free. They're usually pastry based or breaded, fried, but there are a few bits and pieces that you can find in this section that are gluten-free. So just to give you some examples of this, Tesco have gluten-free pigs in blankets, satay skewers. These ham and cheese croquettes are actually gluten-free. Little hidden gem there. I picked Tesco, by the way, because they seem to have the best free-from section. I think they won an award for that recently. So if you're looking for a supermarket that has like the most gluten-free bits in one place, Tesco's probably the best place to go. Their onion bhajis are gluten-free as well. So yeah, Tesco have quite a few options for celiacs, which is fantastic. Okay, let's move on to meats. So in particular, these are meats with glazes or meats that are already prepared for you. So you just shove it in the oven. So for example, a stuffed turkey, or my parents like to have these 3-bird roasts. So that's like 3 different birds with stuffing inside and glazes and everything on the top. Just be careful of these because, as you should know, stuffing is not gluten-free. It's usually made with breadcrumbs, and some glazes and sauces can have barley as a flavour enhancer. What I would usually do is just make it from scratch at home. Buy a plain turkey or a chicken or whatever meat you have, stuff it yourself or glaze it yourself, and that way you know it's absolutely safe. Cheese. Yeah, cheese. But I only bring this one up because I once found barley in cheese. This has never happened again. And this was a cheese from the Christmas markets one year. So I brought it up just because it can be there. So you always have to check the ingredients. But it is very rare to have gluten in cheese. My absolute favourite cheese is from the Snowdonia Cheese Company. And they also have a vodka chutney, which is so delicious. And I buy them every single year. I can't wait to get them again this year. In particular, the truffle cheese and the black bomber. Okay, pigs in blankets. Sausage meat usually has wheat in it. I haven't actually come across many pigs in blankets that do have wheat in them. They do tend to be gluten-free. All of the pigs in blankets on the Tesco website are gluten-free, so they're fine. But of course, this depends on where you shop. Again, I'm using Tesco as an example. So wherever you end up going shopping, just make sure to check that there's no wheat in the pigs in blankets. I think that pretty much covers the chilled section. If you can think of any other examples in the comments, let us know. But we're going to move on to the cupboard section. We're going to start with chutneys and other condiments. So that's pickles, mustard, brown sauce, those sorts of things. Now, pickles actually caught me out on my first ever Christmas with celiac disease. It just didn't occur to me that the vinegar could have gluten in it. So they was made with barley malt vinegar. So yeah, just be careful of pickles. The barley malt vinegar is not gluten-free, but some pickles are gluten-free. So like silver skin, silver skin pickles that are made in the white vinegar, they tend to be gluten-free. They're absolutely fine. So you're looking for barley in that. Some mustards have wheat in them. Not all mustards do. Some people think that all mustard is not gluten-free, but that's not correct. Some mustards are gluten-free. You just need to check the ingredients. Coleman's one is not gluten-free. It has wheat in it. In this case, the Tesco English mustard also contains gluten, but the Tesco Dijon mustard doesn't, so that's okay. So yeah, this goes for all condiments, and just be extra careful with cross-contamination here because this is one that people really overlook. If you open a fresh jar of chutney, for example, someone puts their knife in that chutney, spreads it over a piece of bread that has gluten in it, and then puts that knife back in the chutney, that chutney is now cross-contaminated with gluten and is no longer safe for celiacs. And when you go into someone else's home, it's not your home, and you're eating sandwiches or crackers and cheese boards and all sorts of things, slip-ups can easily happen. I would just take my own just to be safe, or when you get a fresh open jar, just take a serving out of it, put it to one side so you don't have to worry about that. And the same goes for butter, spreads, pate, everything that you put a knife in and you spread across like bread or something like that. Okay, moving on to gravy. Most gravy, especially the instant gravies, will have gluten in them. They'll have barley and wheat in them. I haven't found many gluten-free gravies, but I personally use the Marigold one, which is gluten-free and vegan, or you can just make your own at home. It's quite simple to make and it doesn't take too long. Kind of touched on stuffing earlier. Stuffing is made with breadcrumbs, so not gluten-free at all. You can get gluten-free alternatives. My absolute favorite is the Gordon Rhodes one. It's really nice. Tesco have a free from one as well. Never tried it, so I don't know what it's like. Or you can just make your own at home. And all you need to do is switch out the breadcrumbs for either gluten-free breadcrumbs, or you can use oats as an alternative. Happy holiday, happy holiday. Frozen, not the film. We're in the frozen section. Roast potatoes. Aunt Bessie's always have your back. Yes, those are the ones I use every single year. They're gluten-free. I haven't found many roast potatoes with gluten in them, but some can have wheat in them because they'll use it for a crispier texture or something. People don't know that other flours exist, or corn flour, for example. Corn flour has exactly the same effect. So companies, if you're listening, why not change it wheat flour to corn flour? Yeah, maybe. But mainly just be careful if someone is making homemade roast potatoes and you're not the one cooking, make sure they're not using wheat flour on the roast potatoes. Like I said just now, corn flour works just as well. Snacky snacks. Okay, we're moving on to snacks. Crisps. A lot of crisps are may contains for gluten, so you do you with the may contains. I personally don't eat them just because I can't be asked contacting all the manufacturers to find out how they were made. So whatever you do with may contains is up to you. Walker's, Doritos, McCoy's, they're all may contains for gluten. And then some flavoured crisps like salt and vinegar will have barley in the ingredients as well. I love crisps. This is my downfall. Not a sweet person, but I love a crisp. So I'm gonna just leave a list of all the different crisps that I really like. You do with that what you want. Nuts. Oh, nuts are an absolute nightmare because a lot of the time the nuts will be gluten-free in the ingredients unless they're coated in some sort of flavouring, and then sometimes they can have wheat in them, but most nuts they will be gluten-free. May contain for gluten though. I have found some that are gluten-free and not may contains, so the Tesco own brand ones seem to be fine. I really like these honey roasted nuts as well. I think I get mine from the Co-op though. I'm pretty sure they're gluten-free as well. So yeah, you can find some. I do tend to find that the supermarket own brand ones are more celiac friendly than the branded ones. Last on the food is the selection boxes of chocolates, and what I mean by that is the big boxes like the Quality Streets and the Hero boxes of chocolates. Quality Street, great, gluten-free. Most of the Heroes are gluten-free. I think you've just got to be careful of one, which is the Dinky Decker. Celebrations, I just wouldn't go there, not gluten-free. Roses, gluten-free. And Lindt, it just depends on the chocolate you get. Some of Lindt chocolates are gluten-free, some have barley in them. But then if you go on their website, they say even the ones with barley in them are less than 20 parts per million. So it's up to you, eat at your own risk. Do your own research. Alcohol. So it's not just food you need to be careful of, it's also drinks. Beer is not gluten-free. My favourite alternatives used to be the Dower Dam. Cider is also gluten-free, so that's also a really safe option as well. Just be careful of pre-mixed cocktails. Some of them will have barley in them as a flavour enhancer, and the same thing goes for flavoured liquors as well. So if you're buying like plain vodka, plain whiskey, they will be gluten-free. If they've got flavours added to them, just make sure to check the ingredients. WKD, does anyone even drink WKD anymore? One of the drinks I used to have when I was like 16. God, that takes me back. As you can see, it has barley in the ingredients. I'm just using it as an example, so you can see that some alcoholic drinks have barley in them. And then other malt flavoured drinks that are non-alcoholic, the first one that springs to mind is Vimto. That has barley in it as well. So that's the food. I said I'd also touch on cross-contamination as well. Before we go into cross-contamination though, can I just show you this? Fun, right? Yeah. It's on my website. I do have a website with gluten-free merch. We have all sorts of designs on there. It is Christmas after all, so either you can treat someone else or treat yourself, why not? So if you go and have a look on glutenhatesmyguts.com, we have loads of stuff on there for you. It's Christmas Day. You've checked all the ingredients, you've double checked, triple checked if you're anything like me. Mum or dad or whoever's cooking the Christmas dinner takes over and they might not understand cross-contamination. All of that work has gone in and your food is no longer safe to eat. They end up cooking your gluten-free roast potatoes in the same tin as their wheat-filled potatoes. They end up using the same spoon to stir your gluten-free gravy with their normal gravy. They ended up stuffing the turkey that wasn't meant to be stuffed because they didn't know stuffing had wheat in it. There are all sorts of different scenarios where cross-contamination can happen and slip-ups can happen, and then you have to have that really awkward conversation about how you can't eat the food that they spent hours making and how they fucked up Christmas dinner. I'm just kidding. To avoid all of this happening, and this awkwardness, and, you know, avoid you getting sick, most importantly. There are measures you can put in place to avoid this. Foil. Foil is the celiac's best friend. Ironically, I don't have any. But parchment paper, cling film, you're gonna need these. It's not gonna always be possible to cook gluten-free food and regular food in separate ovens. So if you have to share the oven, make sure to wrap all of the food in the oven with foil and put the gluten-free food on the top shelf and the rest of the food underneath to avoid any sort of spillage down and cross-contaminating the food. Parchment paper on all the oven trays because oven trays don't get cleaned that well, and cling film will come in handy for wrapping up all of your leftovers and putting it in the fridge. Utensils. Make sure to have separate utensils. The best way to remember this is either to get different materials or different colours so that you don't end up mixing them up. And remember what I said about the condiments earlier? So make sure everything's clean. Clean knives, clean chopping boards. Just wipe everything down. Even the surfaces in the kitchen, make sure to wipe everything down. Wash your hands in between cooking different foods. All of these things will help to avoid cross-contamination. Now, Christmas can be a very stressful time for celiacs, and I often get asked, what is the best way to navigate it when your family and friends don't properly understand celiac disease? So my absolute best tip for you is to teach them. I would go shopping with them. I would buy all the ingredients with them so that you know all the ingredients are gluten-free. I would show them what cross-contamination is. Instead of just telling them, show them how things need to be prepared. Help them prepare the food so that you know your food is safe. But I think just having that conversation with people and making them understand. Explain to them what would happen if you accidentally ate gluten or if your food wasn't prepared correctly. And be as detailed as possible. That will get through to them. But in case you didn't want to talk about shitting yourself at Christmas, you could always make all of your food and take it with you. And lastly, which is probably my preferred option, host Christmas yourself and make it a fully gluten-free Christmas. A top tip, don't tell anyone all of the food is gluten-free until they say, what a delicious dinner. Ask for seconds and then you can break the news that it's gluten-free, because trust me, if you tell them beforehand, they will have something to complain about. I hope this video was helpful. I most definitely have missed stuff. I couldn't go through the entire itinerary of the Tesco website. So if you do have any gluten-free recommendations, please put them in the comments for everyone to see. Enjoy your Christmas when it comes. Have fun, stay safe, and Merry Christmas. I'll see you in the new year. Happy holiday. Happy holiday. Happy holiday. Shush.